Welcome and shalom. It is the season for Passover once again. This year, because of the coronavirus, we are adapting what we normally do to bring you this online celebration in your homes. The Passover is a rich celebration of the story when God delivers His people from its Egyptian slavery. And it is quite a pageant of decorations, food, singing, and being with family. But not this year. Just as we've had to make big changes to our daily lives of work and worship, the Passover is shifting away from a big celebration to many much smaller observances in homes around the world. And we hope you will choose, whether you are by yourself or in a shelter-in-place with several family members, to follow along and join us on this symbolic journey of God's deliverance. And to make all this possible, I'm going to give you several options for substitutions for things that you need, as some things might be hard to come by during this period in time. Keep in mind, Passover and the items used to celebrate it are important and fraught with meaning. But in all things, especially now when rhythms are disrupted, it is not what, but why. You may never celebrate the Passover meal again with applesauce and Ritz crackers. But if you do this year, the why of what they represent will be much more important than the actual emblems themselves. We'll keep that in mind as we go along. Now, there are many things that you're going to need to get your hands on in order to participate. And speaking of hands, if you have any concerns about cross-contamination with anyone else you're joining for the meal, you might have a bottle of hand sanitizer ready to use after passing things hand to hand during the meal. At the very least, you'll need to make ready the following items. The first thing that we'll need to get is the plate. Now, you'll need one plate per person. Any old plate will do. I mean, if you have a paper plate, that's fantastic. But why not get out the good stuff? Get into the cabinet, dust off that wedding china, and let's use something nice if you have it. The next thing that we're going to need is cups. Now, we're going to need 4 per person. Now, of course, a Dixie cup or a jelly jar will do just fine. But once again, treat yourself. Get out the good stuff. Go into that closet and dust off some of those nice glasses that you never used but always wanted to. And you're going to need 4 per person. Next thing that we need to get is a candle. Now, you just need 1 per person, and that's going to go at the top of the place setting. A little tea light like this will do, or even something a little bit larger, but you don't want it too tall so it doesn't block your view of everything. And you're just going to use this simple candle, and obviously you're going to need something to light it with, so make sure you have some matches or a flame available. And it's going to go right at the head of your plate. But once again, we're kind of putting on a production here in our homes, so why not get something great like one of these beautiful tall candles you can put out? Or if you really want to go for the gold, how about an oil lamp? This will just add some ambience to the room. It's not necessary, but again, treat yourself. The next thing you'll need are some napkins. Now, you'll definitely want at least 1 that you're going to use at each plate, and it's not going to be anything significant except you're going to want to wipe your fingers on it after touching all the symbolic foods. However, paper is fine, but again, if you have something cloth or even something that's an heirloom, put it out. The next thing we need is a bowl and a towel for hand washing. Now, any old bowl will do, but if you have a nice glass one or a china one, grab that, and even a nice cloth towel you can use to dry your hands. You only need 1 of these per table, no matter how many are observing the meal, because all will be using the same bowl. Next thing we're going to need is some juice. Now, grape juice or even wine would be the thing normally used, but feel free to substitute any fruit juice if you can't find this, or even a powdered drink mix if you can't get your hands on the real thing. And you'll need enough to pour into 4 cups for every participant in your home. Now we come to unleavened bread. Matzo-style crackers are kind of the preferred option, and you can find these sometimes in the Jewish or ethnic section of your store. They're very similar to what Christians use in our weekly communion service. But due to circumstances, many substitutions will do just fine. Many common crackers will fit the bill. Maybe you have these round ones, maybe you have these square ones, and even if you don't have that, you can always use a corn or a flour tortilla. That works great. Now, you're going to need 2 small pieces for each plate, but also you're going to need 3 larger pieces that you're going to use in a separate basket that we'll talk about in just a moment. Now, on each plate is also usually a lamb bone. Now, don't worry, you're not actually going to eat this, and it may be almost impossible to come by. Don't worry, most people who celebrate today don't even have these. Maybe if you're even having chicken this week, go ahead and save one of those bones. That will work fine, or any other bone from an animal. And if you don't have that, you can use something in your home. Maybe you have a seashell laying around. It represents something that was once living but is now dead. And if you're vegan, simply use the root cut portion of any vegetable to represent that once living thing. Now, the next thing you're going to need is 1 hard-boiled egg per plate. If you've never hard-boiled an egg, it's really simple. Just take as many eggs as you need, 1 per person in this case. Place it in a soup pot. Go ahead and cover that egg or those eggs with water. Place it on the stove just until it boils. And as soon as it boils, turn off the heat. Now, set a timer for 20 minutes. When it is done, the egg is done. Do not stir. After those 20 minutes, put the pan in the sink and run cold water on it for about a minute. Do not take the shell off. We'll do that during the meal. Then take the egg out and use it immediately if you like it warm, or leave it in the fridge for up to 2 to 3 days if you're doing this in advance of the meal. And if you're vegan, once again, feel free to use a soft-boiled potato instead. Now we need to get a hold of some horseradish. You can usually find prepared horseradish at your grocery store in the section where they sell pickles and mustard, or sometimes it's in the refrigerated area with the cheese and the deli items. You can also use wasabi, which is an Asian version of horseradish that you can often find in the Asian food section. Now, if you can't find straight horseradish that's been prepared in the jar, you can simply use the kind that's also mixed with mayonnaise that you use for a sauce, kind of like you get at Arby's. You can also grate some fresh horseradish right off the root if you're hardcore, or if you don't even have any of that, maybe you have a piece of ginger root at your house. Simply grate some of that and you can use that. If you don't have that, you can always use hot sauce, which is also something that will bring tears to your eyes if you have too much of it. Maybe mustard, that might also work for you. Or in a pinch, you can take some apple cider vinegar and just mix it with water, and that can be the bitter thing that you use in substitution for the horseradish. But if you're going to go to the store anyway, go ahead and go for the real deal. You're just going to need 1 dollop of this on each plate for each person. The next thing we need is charosis or charoset. It's an apple mixture that symbolizes the mortar Israelites used in making bricks. Let me show you how to make it real quick.
So take an apple and chop it just as finely as you can into very, very small bits. And if that's too much, use a food processor or even a hand grater. Once you chop it up, place it into a bowl. And then we're going to add spices. First some salt and some cinnamon or nutmeg. Add about a squeeze of lemon and then sugar. Okay, let's put a lot of sugar. We want it sweet. Then stir it all up and you're good to go.
If all that sounds like more work than you're up for, no worries. Just use a simple pre-prepared cup of applesauce and that'll do fine. You're going to need 1 scoop of those apples per plate per person. Now we need to come up with some bitter herbs. The most common used here is parsley that you can find anywhere in almost every store. But if you can't find that, you can also use cilantro leaves if you happen to have that in your kitchen. If you have some kale, you can use that. Maybe even a green onion. That'll be just fine. What is also commonly used is romaine lettuce. That'll be fantastic. You'll need 2 sprigs or pieces for each person for each plate. The final thing you'll need for your ceremonial plate is a small cup of salted water. This is easy. Just take a small cup, pour some water in it, add some salt, and you're going to need to add quite a bit of salt. Stir it up, and you're good to go. That salt water will be used to dip our vegetables in during the meal. There you go. Get all that together, and you'll have everything that you need to follow along and participate. Now, if you're celebrating with a family with children in your home, you might want a few more items that will be offered as an option during the celebration service. First of all, you'll need a paper bag or even a plastic bag if you don't have one. A few pieces of any kind of bread. A hot dog bun works great. You'll need 1 wooden spoon and a feather, or 2 wooden spoons, or 2 of any utensils will be fine. And then you'll also need 1 reward. This is a small coconut cookie or any snack of any kind, a treat per person at the meal. We'll go over these items just for you when it comes time during the meal. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, But if you need a list to help you prepare, simply click the link in this video or below in the description on YouTube. Or go to our website at hocc.org. Click the Passover icon and the Getting Ready for Passover checklist. The final thing you'll need in order to follow along is a way to watch the video. If it's just one person celebrating at home, a smartphone will probably work. But if there are two or more, each will need to be able to see the screen to follow along and participate in the readings. In that case, a larger tablet or even a laptop might do the trick. However, if you are able to set up close to a smart TV or one with a Roku or Apple TV box on it, you can always just open the YouTube app and in the search, type Highland Oaks, and it will take you right to our page. If the video does not immediately show up, simply go to Playlists and look for Passover Celebration Meal. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get a notice every time we post a new video like this one, as well as be able to go back and watch any of our videos in the archive. Thanks for watching and getting ready to celebrate Passover with us at Highland Oaks. Until then, Shalom and God bless you.